Yay, thank you. Hi, good evening. Thank you for coming out. What we're going to do this evening in a fairly short time is about three main things. One is to give you a bit of introduction to this very remarkable, wonderful stuff with the somewhat strange name, neuro-linguistic programming. We're going to give you a bit of an introduction to my own version of that, our own version of that at NLP Marin, which we call Transformational NLP, because it is fundamentally different than conventional NLP. And I would like to talk a little bit right at the end about why this work is so important to me. And as far as we can tell, it's become important to a lot of people over the years. So I appreciate your coming. NLP. Now there's a thing about NLP that most people, even the ones who study it really deeply, don't know. And that's that it has spread through our culture invisibly, sort of inevitably over the last 40 years or so. That's because it started in the middle 1970s, 1973, going into 74, going into 75 at UC Santa Cruz. But if any of you has participated in any kind of life coaching, personal coaching, professional coaching, any kind of training or development having to do with peak performance or accomplishment or that kind of stuff, or if you've been involved in any of the briefer forms of psychotherapy, then what you've been experiencing, and you know, it is my opinion that probably the very best, most useful parts of what you've experienced are actually NLP. They're actually bits of neuro-linguistic programming. They've gradually been adopted and absorbed into just about everything that is about personal change, professional growth, and the development of our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with each other in this world. Almost none of that NLP that's gradually moved into things is acknowledged, right? In large part because people don't know it's NLP. They think it's outcome-oriented brief therapy in the context of psychology. They think it's peak performance coaching in the context of executive development. No one underlines it and says, this is NLP, this is NLP, this is NLP. So what I would like to do just to begin is to do just a little bit of history about this stuff. Neuro-linguistic programming. Each of those words is really important. The neuro word has to do with the neural pathways in our brains and our bodies. Right? It's the analogy that we use is this, that's like the railroad tracks in a railroad yard somewhere. The linguistic word is about content. Neuro-linguistic. Linguistic is about the content, not just words, but all of the signaling, the events that go on inside of us that create our experience. So we have, to use my simple analogy, I hope, we have railroad tracks, we have trains moving along the railroad tracks. Now there needs to be something that tells which train to go where, when, to produce particular outcomes, important outcomes. Now if it's the railroad yard, the important outcome is all the trains get where they're going and there are no mishaps. Everything arrives where it's supposed to go. For human experience, the outcome is actually our experience. It's our experience of being ourselves and being ourselves in the world that we live in, right? And being with other selves who are experiencing themselves in the world with us and so forth in the world that we all share. Neuro-linguistic programming. The programming word is left over from the middle 1970s when the personal computer was first beginning to be imagined as something that a hobbyist might spend all their time on, spending hours and hours programming a keyboard so that it could make letters for them on the screen. It was brand new stuff.